TPCSI fans, you want to revolutionize your sports investing habits? Allow me to tell you about WagerWire. WagerWire is an app that helps you become a superior bettor by allowing you to sync all your sports books and track all your bets in one place. See your current action, your betting history, and stats. You could also sign up for sports books and collect bonus offers. Follow them at WagerWire on X, as it's the best account on the platform. Head to App Store or Play Store now and search WagerWire and download the app.
From the ECSI Sports Studios and the #1 sports investors in America, we bring you the closing bell. As the market closes, legends Jeff Dawson and Riley Magnuson bring you all the sports investing tips for tonight's matchups. If you want to learn more from the two legends at the desk, make sure you stay tuned to the closing bell.
2,000 years long, we will never settle. Hard days, no way, with a heavy metal. No time, no fail, won't stop here. Like a torch to a flame when it burns hot. We won't stop, come on, take me higher. Like a torch to a flame when it burns hot. We won't stop.
Good afternoon, sports fans from all around the globe. I am the co-host, Jeff Dawson, East Coast Sports Investors, and it is that time of the week, or I should say on the weekend. The weekend is here for the closing bell with good friend and colleague, of course, Mr. Riley Magnuson, Mr. Southside Riley, as we're here to bring baseball back. We're here to talk about a little UFC over the weekend, talk some open golf, or should I say, excuse me, the carnage. Did you survive? Did you have Rory McIlroy and Tiger Woods battling for who leaves the premises first? But a lot of good stuff to talk about. First and foremost, of course, a shout out to our proud sponsor and partnership of WagerWire. If you haven't downloaded the app, head on over to Google Play or wherever you download the apps. It's free. I promise you, myself, Zach, Travis, Amber, Holly, Jay, the rest of this great team and community will take good care of you. And if you want to join this team, send an email to affiliate@wagerwire.com. Tell them JD from ECSI sent you there. And of course, the last commercial that we presented to you guys, Viva Tequila Seltzer, good friend, Mr. CT Betts, his brother, and the rest of that team. We're proud to be a part of them, not just for the rest of this year in the football season, but to 2025 and beyond. So without further ado, let's bring on the co-star of this show, the one only, Mr. Riley Magnuson himself. What's up, Chip?
What is up, my friend? Happy Friday, and yes, baseball is back. So no movie nights in the middle of the week anymore for the rest of the way here. We've gotten through the dark week for the most part here this week. So I am ready to rock, my man. And like you said, we've obviously got the British Open going on as we speak. Pretty much finishing up for the day here, and obviously some UFC action to talk about. Not the most star-studded fight night card by any means, but definitely a couple fights that are worth talking about. And as for anyone who's looking for some entertainment, I think we talked about it a few days ago. All these fights should be very well matched and close fights and good finishes and kind of toss-up fights in a lot of cases here. So definitely one where you can learn a lot about a lot of these guys. If you're trying to get into the UFC, it's not one that's the masses are going to be talking about, regardless of what happens. But it's a great one where if you're trying to learn more about the UFC and get more into the UFC, these are some of these cards where with so many good fights that you're going to learn a lot about the guys and women that are fighting in this upcoming card tomorrow night.
Yes, we had the show 3 o'clock with Lou Finicaro. Yesterday we broke down 4 fights. We broke down the main event as well. We talked about next weekend pay-per-view in Manchester, England. A couple, obviously, big headliners there. A lot of behind-the-scenes chatter going on. You and I talked about it again backstage. John Jones, Alex Pereira, heavyweight, does he move up, etc., etc., etc. So again, ECSI spot on in the octagon, doing our best to get that ECSI UFC community together as we figure out which direction we are going for the rest of this year and beyond. Let's jump into some golf. I tell you what, ECSI VIPs are privied in regards to, I've been doing this now for 9.5 years and haven't had a day off, and I'm not here to say, Jesus, boo-hoo, I haven't had a day off. In regards to whether it's text, email, I'm always checking into the ECSI family. We have clients all around the globe, a lot of them that have been with us for 8.5, 9.5 years. So our consistency is second to none. But you guys are in tune to what I actually talk about behind the scenes, whether it's with a sportsbook risk room guy in charge of millions and millions of dollars, what the action is, where it's going, some big time players, sports bettors, that's all they do. And where I'm going with this, Riley, is of the 4 majors, this is the one they wager on the least. And people would scratch their head. Why is that, Jeff? Is it the 156 golfers? No. It's the luck sometimes in the British Open, or the Open as they call it. It's the weather. It's the wind. And a perfect example is this tournament here. If you went out yesterday afternoon and were able to go out this morning versus going out early on Thursday and late on Friday, it's apples and oranges. When I sent out the alert last night after the first round carnage, you could have went to DraftKings, and so I'm not blowing smoke up anyone's behind here. Because I know there was a handful of names here, so give me 1 second. Victor Hovland, Fleetwood, Rory, and DeChambeau on DraftKings. After round 1, you could have got any one of them or all of them at 17,000 to 1. All 4 of those guys were in the top 5, if not top 10, as pre-flop favorites. You could have went over to Circa Las Vegas, where Jeffrey Benson is, and got them between 22,500 to 25,000 to 1. Those are some heavy hitters that got knocked out in the first round.
Yeah, and I was telling you, I mean, as far as the giant numbers that we've seen from so many of these top players, it's nothing like I've seen in a while. So, you still have some star power, obviously, coming down the stretch, as well as a couple of good stories mixed in here. But, I mean, some of the names that, not only just names, because there's a lot of names that haven't been playing great this year, but guys that are playing fantastic this last month and a half or so of golf coming in. I mean, Bryson, 9 or 10 over, whatever it is. I mean, you've got a couple of guys that have kind of turned face a little bit. John Rahm at 1 over, I mean, is the opposite. I mean, if you told me, X amount of guys in the top 15 golfers are, near double digits over par, I probably would have thrown John Rahm in there the way he's been playing. And obviously now John Rahm's a contender, and even I can't remember how close he was as far as odds in the. I think he might be top 10 in odds right now to win the whole thing. So he's going to be obviously in contention. Need Shane Lowry to come back to the pack a little bit, but anything is possible here with everyone that's in that top 15, 20 range. Even some guys that are over par right now could break out of this thing and be standing in the winner's circle on Sunday, my man?
ECSI VIPs, Brady Kannon. We do the tea time wagers on Wednesday at 5. We both are a part of Shane Lowry pre-flop. 48, 49 to 1, somewhere around that area, I think it was. And in my note about Shane Lowry, I specifically wrote, if his putter is hot, it's a wrap. And now he got good timing, good weather. The wind wasn't as bad for him. 2-shot lead over a gentleman that was the first round leader. God bless you if you had him out of nowhere. And then 2 shots back, I think he bogeyed 18. There are some serious names there that know their way around this course. Open champs lurking, the Scotty Schefflers of the world, just lurking in the fescue. X-Man, Xander hasn't got it going. Rosie, Colin Morikawa just scratching the surface. And so when I sent out the alert last night, looking at the updated odds, I was born at night, not last night. I know a flash and fade when I see it. I know who's in form and who's not. And sometimes the light goes on, like when you get to Magnolia Lane. There's some guys that just the light bulb goes on when they're playing the Masters and they're nowhere to be found the rest of the majors or the rest of the year. Well, here, Justin Thomas. Great story. I love the guy to death. I think he's like 31, 32 years old. I think he's been playing now for 2 decades, it seems, forever. Was the first round leader last week, and then just blew up like a wood tick, right? So I'm looking at the updated odds. He was 89 to 1 pre-flop at Circa. We gave him out as a beer and pizza money. Maybe he flashes, we don't know. But him, Adam Scott, and a handful of these other guys, can they put 4 rounds together? Well, you got to put 2 rounds together to make the cut, Riley. So Justin Thomas at 15 to 1 or 16 to 1, going into today's round, I told the whole world, anyone that wanted to listen, it's an outlier. Either something's brewing here, they got Biff's Almanac, or this is the biggest heist since The Town and the movie at Fenway Park, the final scene there. So here's Justin Thomas. Front 9 today. Par, bogey, bogey, double bogey, bogey, par, triple bogey. Par is 36. He shot 45. So now the whole social media is laughing. Woodstock. This guy, what a puke. Comes back. Birdie, par, bogey, birdie, par. So my point is, he goes out in 45, in at 33, 78, 6 over par for the day. But my point is, just 4 over for the tournament. So I'm taking my hat off and applauding this guy because he withstood the challenge where most people would have said, you know what, I'm out. I'm going to call up my Uber driver and I'm getting the next flight out of here. I'm just going to limp home.
Yeah, and he's a guy that, again, in that 4 over range, you could see him making a charge, but we've kind of seen it from him in the last couple of years, is that inconsistency and sporadic behavior there on the golf course. So I am rooting for him. He's been something that I've been he's only a couple years older than me, so I've been following him as closely as I can in my adult life here. So I am definitely rooting for him. But to your point, yes, it is a fantastic bounce back on the 9 after, what was it, 5 straight holes with the bad square there instead of the circles or nothing there. The number that I'm interested now, you've got Shane Lowry, Justin Rose, this Brown guy is the top 3 there. Three shots ahead of the guys at 2 under, 5 shots for Lowry's case. And Justin Rose still, you got Scotty Scheffler lurking back there, like you said, minus 225 for a top 5 finish. Justin Rose, who's at 5 under, I see at DraftKings at minus 105 for a top 5 finish. So that does not give me a ton of confidence that, he's going to be sticking in that top 5. Doesn't mean he blows up, but could just be standing pat right there in that 4 to 5 range, or maybe drop a couple and some guys pass him up there. So that's one that I'll be watching where I'm a Justin Rose guy. I have had some good looks over I think I had him as an outright. I think that would have been early last year. As one of my outright winners from last year. But at that number with the 3-shot cushion over, not only a 3-shot cushion over fourth and fifth place, but the guy who nobody knows who he is off the DP World Tour, right there tied with them. You know, in everyone else's mind, you're erasing him already from the equation. So that one is a little concerning to me, my friend.
Yeah, I'm looking at the board. I'll wait till the round ends. I'll get my numbers from Jeffrey Benson at Circa. Listen, if you want to go on to DraftKings, they have updated odds. Again, the squarest of squares. And I think they how can I say this correctly? For the most part, you know, you can go like I use the Circa because the Circa is the mecca in my eyes. You know, $200 to $300 differences in a lot of these golfers, where the Circa is the real number, and this is just the public square because they know the public is not going to shop around. Hey, I got a DK account. Why not get some action on it just to scratch an itch? So, yeah, D. Brown and Rose at -5. Billy Horschel intrigues me. Burmeister, again, horse for the course. I think he's dangerous here. So, of course, Scotty Scheffler there. Corey Conn is another one. Good iron player. I think fits well here. Jason Day, the Australians usually play great in this. I left Day on the desk. We had an Adam Scott ticket. So, no Day there, but he's at -1. Xander, -1. Cantlay, who we have a pre-flop as well as Schauffele, -1. Know nothing about M. Jordan. It's not Michael Jordan, number 23, so nothing there. Here's a guy I'm in love with, infatuated with. Always usually have him in the majors. One of the better iron players. That's Joaquin Niemann. And I just, the live has crushed him, and I'd stayed away. He's at even par. Dustin Johnson from the dead shoots a -2 today at +1. There's Brooks Koepka, again, not in form, but it's a major. It used to always be an auto play at +1. Mackenzie Hughes, again, I think he fits this course. John Rahm, there was a stat up there. He's been horrific in the first round and lights out the next 3 rounds, so he gets in at +1. M. Kim, M. Seam, Gary Woodland. I mean, we could talk for hours here. So it'll be interesting to see the after day 2, after the cut is now been announced. Right now, again, +6. Outside looking in, some big names. Batia, Basenhouse, Max Homa, Tyrell Hatton, Keegan Bradley, Stenson, Uzi, who was -100 at one point, closed at plus was 100 to 1, closed at 60 to 1. JT Poston, Oberg, who we got off of at +8. I'm skilled Molinari +9. DeChambeau +9, Victor Hovland +9, Zalatoris +9. I haven't said the name yet. Tony Finau +10. Haven't said the name yet. Rory McIlroy +11 with 2 holes to go. Cam Smith +12. Carnage everywhere, Rory. Excuse me, Riley. I don't want to insult you calling you Rory today. How's that?
Today. Yeah, and then the one I'll eat my words on it. I was saying a guy that has been looking like he's been playing better, and I think I guess maybe my words were this would be the one where I'm sold that he's back in form. Would be Wyndham Clark, who I think is at a big old 16 over right now. The one guy I'm not sure if you mentioned that I'm going to be looking for. He actually finished top 3 last year, I think it was, at the Open. Obviously different course, but Sepp Straka, when I got always mentioned in Sepp Straka, a guy who is 2 over right now. So maybe a little pizza and beer money for a top 5 finish. It's 16 to 1. Not crazy that he could come out of the pack out of that 1, 2, 3 over crowd and be one of the guys that makes a run at a top 5 finish. Obviously, it would be. I think his number is 150 to 1 to win the whole thing. So probably a little bit of a stretch there, but top 10 plus 450. Top 5 plus 1,600. Might throw a little pizza and beer money on a top 5 for Sepp Straka there.
And I cannot confirm this tweet. I did not confirm it, but there was a tweet out there yesterday that the winner in the last 24 years from the Open has been 5 shots back or less. I could not confirm that. That was after round 1. So I cannot confirm or deny that tweet. But someone tweeted that a golf guy. So again, I'm not saying it's correct. I'm not saying it's incorrect, but he tweeted it yesterday that the winner from the Open the last 24 years was 5 shots or less going into round 2. So we shall see there. We'll close with some thoughts on the UFC there. Baseball is back currently at the top of the 4th. The Arizona Diamondbacks 3, the Chicago Cubs nothing. Justin Steele, did we see steel or aluminum here today? I saw some tweets out there that steel could be available. I couldn't see the Cubs parting steel, but obviously if the price is right, the two biggest arms out there, I heard, of course, Tariq Skubal and Crochet. Yes, and Mason Miller from the A's, of course, as a closer there. Getting back into the baseball swing, I'll just tell everyone watching and listening, be careful, because you go back to last Friday, Saturday, Sunday. It was the last series before the break. And a lot of these teams were scratching the itch, dying to get to this break. Now, what does that mean? Well, if you're not going to the All-Star break and you give the coach a wink, hey, can you give me Saturday and Sunday off? I want to get down to Puerto Rico. I want to get to Mexico. I want to take the family for a 4 or 5 day quick vacation before we get back and travel to Philadelphia or wherever. So I don't know what a lot of these guys have been doing on the break. Some of them at the All-Star game. Some of them obviously at the home run derby. Some of them didn't report to the team bus till Thursday to fly out to wherever. So my point is, we expect everything to be the same how we left it 5-7 days ago, and sometimes the pitching's ahead of the offense. It's like when the season starts. Is it the chicken or the egg? Is it the pitching or the hitting? Or So I'm just gonna say, just be careful here the first couple days. Give this weekend. I'm not saying you don't wager or invest in any of these games, but just be careful. That's all.
No, that's a fantastic point. I am totally in agreement with you. I think this one and NBA are two that I coming out of the All-Star break, same type of thing with the NBA, where I usually give it a obviously if something's glaring at you and you can't avoid it, you can't avoid it, but for the most part, yeah, you got to take a second here for a lot of these ones. But jumping right into it, my friend, one that I am interested in your thoughts on the odds on this one, Cincinnati at Washington. You've got everyone's favorite punching bag and Patrick Corbin on the mound here tonight, and the Reds are short 125, minus 125 favorites on the road here. They do have Frankie Montas, who's obviously not burning any, winning any awards himself there, but Patrick Corbin and the Nationals. It's been a few, probably about a solid month since the Nationals have won one of his starts, and I think he's 5-17 or something along those lines as far as not as decisions, but in games that he starts here. So any concern for the Reds here, and maybe we get either Frankie Montas getting beat up here or a little bit of a Patrick Corbin revenge spot here?
An overnight number of Cincinnati minus 120, Washington plus 100, 8.5 juice under minus 20 cents. Of course, it's Patrick Corbin Day. Of course, you expect the Reds money to come flying in. It didn't. 121 right now, minus 121 at the Circa. Washington plus 111. But when I say you pay a tax on Patrick Corbin Day, that's the under over. It was 8.5 juiced under minus 120. Last night, it is now 9.5 juiced over minus 15 cents. And so it's a cheaper tax if you like Cincinnati today to spend the minus 121 just to win the game. Then their team total is 4.5 juiced over now, minus 135. Washington team total 4.5 juiced under, minus 130. So if you like the Nats today in a high-scoring game, you can take their team total to get to 5 and get that at plus 110. But again, Patrick Corbin Day, payday, baseball is back. It's buyer beware for me. I mean, we need the Reds, or should I say, people are expecting a big burst from the Reds, like they are with Pittsburgh. They're hanging around. They're exciting teams. They're fun teams to watch. Well, Pittsburgh said, "Hey, Paul Skeens, you look great on Tuesday. You're not pitching till Monday or Tuesday, so take the weekend off." So again, they're not running to the window to push either. So I know everyone's in on Cincinnati. I'm just saying buyer beware on the Reds tonight. That's all.
100%. I'm with you, and I'm almost, I'm not saying I'm jumping straight into it, but almost more, you take the Reds on the money line against Patrick Corbin Day, and you might have Frankie Montas give up 6-7 runs in the first 4 or 5 innings himself here. So I'm almost kind of interested in that looking at that Nationals team total over there as far as scoring some runs on their side of things against Frankie Montas, because when you have a matchup like that, you got a punching bag that everyone knows and loves, and Patrick Corbin. You got to also look at the other side and see Frankie Montas has not been fantastic himself. He's had some spurts, and he'll have some. He's formidable in certain occasions when he's going. But last time out, I think 8 hits allowed and a handful of runs. So that is one that I'm concerned about as well. Similar, just a little bit later than that one. Yankees hosting the Rays. Rays still 48-48. Have been teetering all around there all season long. But Garrett Cole and Zach Eflin, pretty good pitching matchup as far as names are concerned. Garrett Cole. On paper, this is only start number 6 for him here on the season. Didn't get started until mid-June, so it's only been a month here. Last time out, Friday before the All-Star break, though, 6 innings, 5 hits, 1 earned run, no walks, 1 walk, 7 Ks, and 106 pitches. So they let him go the full distance there, over 100 pitches. That time out, and he looked good. Any love for Garrett Cole Day here, or is minus 175 at home? Typically not as high as you would like for what you would expect to be a dominant Cole performance, unless you think maybe that's just a little respect going back the other way for Zach Eflin here.
Overnight, minus 190. You could have grabbed the Rays at plus 160 and 8 over minus 15 cents. Corrected morning line, Yankees minus 165, Tampa plus 150. As much as Cole's a lightning rod, I know some people in the industry that you're going to give them Eflin at a plus 150 price. They're going to go that route. So I got to trust and respect the opening number there. If you like the Yankees here, it's an 8. All right. So I'm looking at the team totals. Yankees team total over 4.5 is juiced under minus 125. The Rays team total is 3.5 juiced under minus 120. Listen, I know the Yankees stunk down the stretch here. I know at one point they were 5-15 their last 20. Their offense has been putrid. Now they got Cole on the mound here. Here's how I would play this. I would take the Yankees first 5 minus the hook here. If you like the Yankees, the problem is you're biting into the teeth of the Rays here with Eflin, because Eflin can spin one here as well too. Yeah. I'm not going to lay the 165. I'm not going to do the run line full game here because I'm only guaranteed the 24 outs. I'm not guaranteed the Yankees batting here in the 9th. So here's how I'll play this. If you like the Yankees tonight, you can play them minus the hook first 5. I kind of like the Yankees team total over the 4.5, and I can get that at plus 105. So I don't have to lay the 165. I don't have to get cute that way. So the Yankees get to 5 or better. I don't care who wins the game. So that's where I lean there, Riley, is Yankees team total over the 4.5 plus 105.
I like it. I will throw out my home run prop just off the bat here. Not the man Aaron Judge, who is I think I saw like plus 130 on the home run odds for himself here today. So that's absurd. But Juan Soto is who I'm going with here today. Before the break, Sunday before the break, not great, but the 4 days before that, multi-hit games in four straight games before the break there with a couple of home runs and a robust 14 for 31 lifetime off of Zach Eflin here. So. He has had some good success against Zach Eflin there and around a lot of his stops, obviously, in the NL East. And I guess I don't know how many times they've seen him now in a Yankee uniform, but you get what I'm saying. He's had some success against Zach Eflin, and he's hitting well right now. So I'm going Juan Soto.
And tweets throughout the week on social media that the Rays, who are fielding calls for some of their big bats, Randy Rosarina, Paredes, they're fielding everything. So they talked about Seattle and a Rosarina maybe, but again, looks like the Rays will be in the sellers market here. So maybe a good weekend in New York by a few of these bats might push. Hey, I wouldn't mind taking a swing in Seattle, or going to a playoff contender instead of sitting in Tampa and just wasting a year away. So keep an eye on how the Rays play in the next week to 10 days as well.
Yep, 100%. Moving on down the line, Mets are in Miami in this one tonight. Sean Manaea for the Mets, Edward Cabrera for the Marlins here. Cabrera on paper here his numbers are not looking good at all. He has had he did have a good amount of time away from the Marlins here from May to July. He is back in action here for the third straight start. Excuse me. They have not been letting him go too deep these last couple. Last time out was obviously a rough one: 6 hits, 7 earned runs, 4 bombs allowed at Cincinnati. The time before that, 3 2/3, 4 hits, 2 earned runs against the White Sox, 82 pitches. So still getting back into the swing of things there. But the Mets only minus 135. A little buyer beware on the Mets tonight, my friend.
Yeah, I was looking at that. It is a Cabrera number. Again, as you said, he's got a couple starts under his belt. Miami they've been in full sale mode since the first couple weeks in April. They made it clear that they're selling already. So in come the Mets that, again, I was hoping would be a fire sale with Pete Alonso and Diaz. And they're right in the thick of it for that last wild card spot. I had an overnight number: Mets minus 130, Marlins plus 110. Currently at the Circa, Mets minus 125, Marlins plus 115, and 8 over minus 20 cents. Kind of what jumped out at me if you wanted to dip your toes on the Mets side here. Mets team total 4.5, juice under minus 125. It's a flat 8 under over. This has got 5-3 written all over it. I mean, I guess if you like the Mets, you're only going to lay 125, where I don't like laying 125, guys. I don't, because those 25 cents at the end of the day, at the end of the week, at the end of the month, they add up if you're not cashing them. So if you like the Mets today, I'd rather run to the window and get the Mets team total over 4.5, and I can get that at plus 105, Riley.
Yep, I am good with that as well. Next one down the line, Cards at Braves, St. Louis in Atlanta. Spencer Schwellenbach has been good the last couple times out. You've got Sonny Gray on the mound for St. Louis. The Braves only minus 120. A little concerned for the Braves, or is this respect towards Sonny Gray here?
I'm going to backtrack back to the Mets for a second. I'm going to go with the Pete Alonso bomb, by the way. Pete Alonso. Do you have a number in front of you?
Let's see. I can get that real quick. Pete Alonso is 5-1, plus 500.
That's a little too much meat on the bone. What's Mr. Marte?
Marte. Do I see Marte? That one might take me a second. I'm not seeing Marte here.
All right. Well, no, 5-1 on Alonso. Usually, when you got Aaron Judge at plus 130, if he doesn't hit a homer tonight, he'll hit one the next 2 nights. Don't worry about it. But then they give you 5-1 on Alonso. That probably doesn't bode well. But that's where my eyes were there.
Were you talking about Starling Marte?
Yeah.
I don't know if he might not be in the lineup tonight.
Okay. He must have had a rough vacation or something, So Sonny Gray got us good right before the break. He was minus 190, and I'm like, holy shit! And I'm drawing a blank who they played, and we had them first 5, and they lost the game outright. The Cardinals did what the Cardinals always do, is they didn't score. So I think there's regression. My overnight number was minus 170. with the 7.5. Now 113. Obviously, I think when they had the overnight number that they weren't aware St. Louis was starting Gray. Listen, as we like to say here, was born at night, not last night. It's clearly a Cardinals number here. So if you like the Braves, God bless you. You got a hell of a number, minus 113. 7.5 over. Team totals, St. Louis 3.5 over, minus 125. Atlanta 3.5 over, minus 135. 7.5. First 1-4 wins this game. I lean Cardinals just on the price and spite. That's what I do. Someone will say, Jeff, well, you said it was 170 overnight. Again, when that overnight number was posted, Sonny Gray wasn't pitching. So now Sonny Gray is pitching. He got us good last week. I'm supposed to bounce back with the Cardinals tonight. ECSI VIPs, stay tuned.
I love it. I love it. It was the Cubs that they lost to last time out before the break,
Yes.
5-1. He gave up a decent amount of hits, only 3 earned runs, but like you said, they did not score runs for him there. So moving on down the line, Baltimore, Texas, a good pitching matchup tonight. Corbin Burns, I have listed as a starter after starting the All-Star game there, 1 hit, 1 walk, and moving through that inning in the All-Star game up against Nathan Eovaldi. Orioles minus 125 on the road here against this Rangers team. Is that a little bit of a fishy number there, or is that a lot of respect for Eovaldi, who this month of July, 3 starts, has been dynamite here?
Eovaldi, a name potentially if Texas is selling back on the market, potentially Red Sox, they're saying, which, hey, by the way, they must have been listening to our show on Tuesday. Red Sox are attached to Mr. Fetty, by the way. So, and I reached out to a Chicago guy. He says, well, you're going to throw Kopech in the deal as well. So, it will be interesting there. I would love to have Eovaldi back, by the way. What a workhorse. He wins a ring with us. He wins a ring with Texas. Man, he is just a bulldog. Overnight, again, Baltimore minus 160. Corrected overnight morning number is Baltimore minus 116 currently, in Texas plus 106. An 8 over under, now 7.5 again. Eovaldi was not listed until now. If you like Baltimore, I would be worried. In other words, this is Cy Corbin Burns, the starter of the All-Star game, which right now Cy Skubal is the favorite, who soon will not be a Detroit Tiger here. Team totals 3.5 juiced over for Baltimore, minus 35 cents. Eovaldi 3.5 juiced under, minus 125. I tell you what, anyone wants to go to the window and bet the side that they feel I'm comfortable with. It's a short number on Baltimore, and you got Eovaldi and the Rangers plus 106. There are some sharp people out there, Riley, that think the Rangers got a run in them, and I can't say no to them because they offensively, they got the weapons. You're going to give me plus money here on Eovaldi and the Rangers off the All-Star break. Gun to my head, I'm leaning Rangers here tonight, and I like their team total over the 3.5, and I can get plus 105 as well on that.
I'm with you 100% of the way here on this one. I would have, and maybe I'm splitting hairs here, but would have respected with both these guys on the mound even lower than 7.5, honestly, on the full game total. So I do think maybe Corbin Burns, and again, don't want to use your term. I said this on Tuesday when you were talking about the All-Star break. Don't want to use the term leaking oil, but not the best showing in the first. I mean, it was an All-Star game and he got out of it with no runs, but a hit and a walk. The game before that, 9 hits, kind of skates out of it with 3 earned runs. So could get hit up a little bit here again tonight. I don't know.
Well, it's funny because I was on Sports Grid after our show before the game started, and I talked exactly about the National League because the whole world was on the Nerfy in the first inning. And I'm like, guys, you might want – I get the Paul Skeens angle. I get that. But Corbin Burns pitched in Milwaukee. This National League team has seen it. Don't be surprised if they score a run or two in the first against Corbin Burns. Second and third, 1 out, and they don't push a run across. I'm like, I would have been a hero there, Riley.
Yeah, you would have been, and I think we're onto something with. Again, he's going to be fine long term, but Could be a little bit of a small little regression spot here in the middle of the season for Burns, in my opinion here. Let's see. Moving on down the line, what else we got? A couple of mediocre games here. I don't know about you, but I don't see a starter listed for the Angels where I'm looking at here. And then you've got a couple decent ones in the evening, the late games. Your Red Sox in L.A. for the Dodgers, and the Dodgers minus 125 at home here against this Red Sox team with Nick Pivetta here on the mound and Gavin Stone, who's been, it's not like you've got a guy with a 5.6 ERA rolling into town here. You've got Gavin Stone, 9-3, 3.26 ERA. Hasn't been great these last couple times out before the break here. 3 innings, 7 hits, 4 runs against the Diamondbacks at home. 4 2/3, 9 hits, 4 runs against the Phillies last time out. Those were both after a complete game 4-hit shutout against the White Sox on the road. So these last two not great for Gavin Stone. But minus 125 for the Dodgers at home against anybody is a little eye-opening. Again, your Red Sox are playing good ball, so don't want to shake a stick at that. But obviously, still not a team that you would pencil in as a near toss-up against this Dodgers team in LA.
Now, overnight number Dodgers minus 120, Red Sox plus 120, 8.5 juiced over. Currently at the Circa, the Dodgers minus 120, the Red Sox plus 110. Jeffrey Benson, Derek, and the rest of that crew are not giving out big party favors on my Red Sox. They're giving out $10 bonuses for every 100 there. 8.5 juiced under minus 25 cents. Dodgers team total 4.5 juiced under minus 140. Red Sox team total 3.5 juiced over minus 140. So, guys, it's simple. It's a Red Sox number, but the value here, again, if you like the Dodgers here, I talked about the same with who was the other? Oh, the Braves. The same thing. You don't get the Braves at home at a short number like that. You don't get the Dodgers a short number like that. I know historically, and I say this all the time, the Red Sox have been great against National League teams, and especially on the road. How would I play this? They're telling me to take the Red Sox plus the 110. I don't like laying minus 140, but I think the Sox, they're trying to tell you the Sox get to 4 or better here today. If you like the Dodgers today, I would go this route. I would take their team total over the 4.5. I would take them to plus 120. I would then take sprinkle a little beer and pizza money on Freddie Freeman, on Shohei Ohtani to hit a homer, and to get to plus 1.5 over on the bases. That's more of a correlation. Obviously, if you hit a homer, that's worth 4 bases, so therefore you get over the 1.5 as well. So that's where I would be if I wanted to play Jekyll and Hyde there. And then you can flip it on the Red Sox side. Devers has been as hot as they come. Yep. You can do the same with him with a home run prop and an over 1.5 on the total bases as well.
Yes, sir. And to close out the bases tonight, another one, Hunter Brown versus Luis Castillo in Seattle. Astros obviously close out the break a little, not quite as hot as they had been, but obviously over 500 after a rougher first half of the season than they might have anticipated. But Seattle still leading this Astros team by a couple of games here in the win column at least. And you got Luis Castillo on the mound tonight, and we're only looking at about minus 115 is what I'm seeing. Minus 115 on DraftKings here. With Luis Castillo on the mound against Hunter Brown, who is a little all over the place. I think last time out he was pretty damn good. Time before that, 12 hits, 7 earned runs. So a little all over the place. And you've got this Mariners team at minus 115 price at home here with Luis Castillo on the mound.
I'm glad you brought this up because it surprised me. Overnight number 135, now 110. Seattle minus 110. The Astros plus 100, flat 7. I was surprised here. If I remember correctly, Seattle has a 1-game lead over the Astros right now as they start. And most teams have played around 90. Some have played a few more games. So it's past the halfway point. We got about 70 games left, give or take a few. I'm surprised Houston's not favored. So that's an eye opener. Which Hunter Brown? You know how we say Justin Steel or aluminum? Well, Hunter Brown's been the Jekyll or Hyde like that as well. So Astros take 2 out of 3 here, and they leave Seattle, in first place. So my eyes are telling me, believe it or not, it's a Seattle number. I know Castillo's a lot bigger favorites at home usually, but my eyes, the way I'm reading the market here, surprised Houston wasn't the favorite.
Interesting. And yeah, you're right. It is a 1-game difference. Technically, they are even in the loss column. Seattle's got 2 advantage in the win column there. So, and Texas 5 behind Seattle. So, like you said, a team that can not down and out, especially if these 2 teams beat up on each other or Texas handles either of them. Texas is starting to turn things around a little bit there. So, unless we skipped over just a few of them. We lately have not been going down the entire board. So unless there's any that you missed, or that I missed bringing up that you'd like to bring up, we can go ahead and move on. Diamondbacks up 4-0 now in the top of the 5th in Chicago.
I'll just lightly touch on 2 that kind of got my eye. Detroit at Toronto, Bassett versus Flaherty. Getting some money coming in on Toronto here, a team that's just been awful, a team that they talked about selling both Vlad and potentially Bo. I don't know which direction they're going other than not in the playoffs this year. But they're up to now minus 129. You can get Detroit at plus 118. And the reason I'm bringing this game up is Blackjack Flaherty, another name that has been talked about in the trade market. Again, there's not many teams that are going to be able to match the price for Tariq Skubal. The price tag is going to be off the charts. So the Red Sox being the Red Sox again, not in the Crochet market, but we're in the Fetty Kopech market, right? We're not in the Skubal market, but I'm hearing rumblings for some people around here. We could be in the Blackjack market, like the Evaldi market. So again, I'm surprised there. Team totals 3.5 juiced over for Detroit minus 125. Toronto 3.5 juiced over minus 127.5. First 1 to 4 wins this game. That caught my eyes. So how would I play Toronto then tonight, Jeff? Great question. Maybe first 5 minus a hook, but again, you're going into the teeth with Flaherty here. You can get their Toronto team total over 3.5 minus 20 cents there. That was one. And here's the other one that I was a real eye opener. Where is it now? Blue. There it is. San Diego at Seattle. Waldron for San Diego has been pitching great. Now, maybe it's a home versus away splits versus Bibby, who's been, again, a Jekyll or Hyde. My overnight number was minus 125, now 157. So we're getting a lot of, I don't want to say steam. That number looks way too high to me. It's almost like they're enticing the Padres here. So I'm looking at some team totals here, Riley, and it's a 7.5 under over, yet the Cleveland team total 4.5 juiced under minus 140, and San Diego 3.5 juiced under 120. So I guess the only way I could get into this is a Guardians minus a hook first 5, or I take the swing of all swings and I take the 4.5 team total over at plus 120, kind of like the Dodgers are as well.
Right. No, I can get behind that as well. And, I mean, Padres bats, kind of a team that had been playing better, and then the bats went dead before the All-Star break there, the last 5-6 games there. So curious how they travel across or halfway across the country to Cleveland there. Cleveland also another team that kind of looked ahead to the All-Star break a little bit. Both these teams 1-4 their last 5 before the All-Star break. So without further ado, before we get on out of here, let's move on over to the UFC real quick. As I mentioned in the opener, not a star-studded card here, but it is a card that is well worth watching. As far as the main card, the 5 fights on the main card, minus 175 is the biggest favorite. You've got a lot of, you've got a few minus 115s, 130s. So a lot of fights that are well worth watching. And then on the prelims, there's a 2 or 3 right around minus 200, and there's no massive favorites on this card. So these are going to be some solid fights. Let's see, a lot of these people on the early prelims. These are a big card that I don't have a ton of thoughts on. Just as I said in the open, these are a lot of fighters that I will be seeing for not all of them, but a lot of them will be seeing for the first couple times here, maybe the second time I've ever seen them fight. So can't give you too much insight on some of these prelim fights. The main event, however, I didn't break down, but I kind of teased a little bit earlier in the week there. Interesting split on this one as far as some of the props in this one. You've got Jandiroba minus 130 favored in this main event here. Has a 3-fight win streak against some really tough opponents. Amanda Lemos is another tough opponent. She had a title fight close to a year ago against Zhang Weili, lost that one, bounced back against Mackenzie Dern. Now finds herself as an underdog. The interesting part about it, though, and I checked a couple different books on this one. Just want to pull it up so I have the winning method for this one. If you're looking at Jandiroba, plus 225, plus 240, plus 225 for submission, plus 240 for decision. Typically wins her fights by decision. Not likely to knock her out. 1,600 for Jandiroba to win by knockout there. The interesting thing about this, despite being an underdog, Amanda Lemos to win by knockout is plus 215. Better odds than either of the props there for Jandiroba. So if you're liking Lemos, very likely that she is going to win by knockout. Not likely that she's going to win by decision. Just like Jandiroba is not going to win by knockout, Lemos isn't going to win by submission there. Not likely that Lemos wins in a drag out long fight here by decision. She's going to win by knockout if she wins there. I would be surprised if Jandiroba wins by submission. I was surprised to see that number, honestly. So I am leaning towards Jandiroba to win by decision for the most part there. I do think that is where I personally am leaning. But I was surprised. I mean, you obviously have 2 different options for Jandiroba, and that does affect the odds a little bit. But as far as the props and winning method, plus 215 for Lemos knockout is considered the most likely winning method.
Who's got the bigger star power as we sit before tomorrow? Is it Jandiroba or is it Lemos?
I mean Lemos, because she's been in a title fight. I think the winner of this one is going to be looked at as a bigger star here. But Lemos has been had a little bit longer of a stretch here, fighting some of the bigger names in this in the women's UFC ring there, where it's only been a few years here for Jandiroba. So it is the bigger star, in my opinion, is Lemos, because, like I said, she had a title fight less than a year ago. She had a stretch where she fought Jessica Andrade, who's one of the bigger names. Again, hasn't capitalized and either of those 2 fights that I'm talking about, but then came back against Michelle Waterson with a win. Marina Rodriguez beat Mackenzie Dern. So she's got some nice names. Angela Hill earlier in her career that has fought and won in, despite losing a title fight. So I would say Amanda Lemos is a little bit more of a bigger star in this one. Despite, I mean, neither of them are huge stars, but still to the point, I would say Amanda Lemos.
So the numbers and the props that you gave me, is Lemos going to have problems? In other words, you get into some of these matches here and these fights that they just, got you on the ground in the first minute and they're on top of you for 4 minutes. Is she going to be able to keep her off? Because when you said plus 215 for a knockout, so again, is she going to be able to keep her off? Are they going to be able to get in the center of the ring, or is this just going to be, all right, it's one of these points early in each round, I'm going to ragdoll you, throw you on the ground, and you're not getting up?
Right, I think she's going to have her opportunities, but I mean the numbers. I mean, Jandiroba, it's been a while since she's won it's been about 4 years since she's won a fight by submission. So I think the number of plus 225 for her to win by submission, more likely on these odds to win by submission than decision. It kind of illustrates kind of what you're talking about, where whether or not she's going to go for submission attempts, the entire fight, I don't know, but going to try to avoid being on the feet there and frustrate Lemos a little bit by taking her down and trying to control her on the ground, because she does have a lot of a high takedown percentage. Jandiroba does. not necessarily accuracy as far as takedown accuracy, but takedown high volume, trying to take her opponents down. So I do think that is a great point that you bring up, that this one Lemos just might not have that many opportunities. So that's why it's rare. She would have to really avoid these takedowns and really be very accurate with her striking in Lemos's case to win by decision, let alone, if she does all those things well, it's probably going to end in knockout. But I do think the most likely thing here is I'm still going to stick by a decision here because, Lemos has avoided submission attempts, aside from a fight. I think it was Jessica Andrade. But at the end of the day, I do think signs point to Jandiroba winning this one.
All right. We'll see.
And then aside from that one is the one that I've got the most knowledge of and can break down. But I was looking at some of these other fights as far as some of these other fighters. The co-main event, both these guys right around, I think, 30 years old. Not the most recent success for either. I'm talking about Sungwoo Choi and Steve Garcia. Both these guys in their low 30s. Choi not so much success lately. Garcia, not a great roster of fighters necessarily that he's taken down, but he's won a handful. He's won 3 straight fights by knockout here, and he's a minus 150 favorite. Sungwoo Choi has kind of a mixed bag. He's had a couple of losses by submission, a handful of losses by decision, handful of losses by knockout. So a guy that hasn't really been able to capitalize in a lot of situations. So it does kind of surprise me that the odds are as close as they are, so that makes me think that maybe I think it was his last fight that he won, and he looked a lot better, and so kind of turned a corner in his last fight, which is a little less than a year ago. It was August 2023, but won that fight by decision after a 3-fight losing streak. So at that point was kind of fighting for his UFC life in a lot of senses there, and so Steve Garcia to win by knockout plus 110. Sungwoo Choi to win by knockout plus 185. And obviously that is kind of stating that this one's likely to end in somebody getting knocked the heck out. So I'm going to go with leaning towards maybe Choi surprising people a little bit in this one, based on some of the things I'm seeing there. And for someone like Garcia to be plus money on a knockout prop there as opposed to the minus 150. Neither of his other, neither of the other options are, you got by decision plus 750 for Steve Garcia, plus 800 for a submission attempt, not a submission attempt, to win by submission. So kind of a little fishy as far as, I would have respected a minus 120 on the knockout prop there, if I'm being totally honest with you there. So in 3 straight fights wins by knockout, 4 of the last 5 fights by knockout. So I'm going to go towards Sungwoo Choi. I'll still go with win because it wouldn't surprise me if he found a way. He's been known to take the fights a little bit further. So I'll go by. I might even just go with Choi to win this fight and still get plus money, and maybe throw a little piece of it on a knockout plus 185 or whatever I said there. So again, not 2 fighters that I've seen more than a couple times here, but a few things just not adding up for me on this one.
Well, I assume next week with the pay-per-view, there's a lot bigger fights, obviously a lot bigger names. Manchester, England. We'll have Lou on Thursday, 3 o'clock Eastern time. Gamblu, you can go follow him at Gamblu on Twitter. Also a VSiN and Sports Grid contributor there. You can find him over there as well. Closing thoughts, sir?
Closing thoughts, yeah, nothing too crazy. Going to be a fun weekend watching all these fights that I just talked about, as well as some early morning golf in action. Haven't had, other than this afternoon, not a ton of time to watch the first 2 rounds, so I'm excited to get a little bit of action watching these guys here, and obviously watching those fights on Saturday night. And then obviously you said it, next week UFC 304, so you'll obviously have your show with Gamblu there. And then I'll give my thoughts here throughout the week. You got Leon Edwards against the Pride of Chicago, Bilal Muhammad. Huge fan base in the Midwest there. A heavyweight fight as the co-main with Tom Aspinall, Curtis Blades, Patty the Batty, everyone's favorite. Actually, an underdog as we speak right now. King Green is a scary man. So that is going to be an awesome one. And obviously, a lot of people are going to be pouring some money on Patty the Batty at plus money because he is a fan favorite all around the country. And a Globe is what I meant to say there. And then Arnold Allen and Giga Chikadze is the first opening fight on the main card. That is another one that is Arnold Allen minus 260, so one of the bigger favorites on the card there. But at the end of the day, that one should be a fun one. Another one, we talk about these guys that are, kind of the UFC hoping to make, stars in the making in a sense, and that is another one there. So going to be excited to watch all those, and going to be excited to talk about that throughout the week next week, my friend.
We can't wait here as well. At 6:15 Eastern, Scotty Webb in the batter's box will be back from the All-Star break. He'll be breaking down today's card, and I think, if my memory serves me correct, he will be here Saturday and Sunday around noon to go over the afternoon and weekend cards there. Myself and Riley will be back next week for the closing bell. We'll post on our Twitter timelines exactly what days that we will be back, and it's just back to ground zero in regards to Wednesdays with Brady Kannon, Tea Time Wages. Thursdays will be Gam Lou and Fight Night Fortunes, and then Friday will be our Saratogas breakdown, and Del Mar now with Sean Alvarez at Wager Talk. And I think this week, Monday or Tuesday, Andrew McGinnis will be back here with us talking baseball CFL, and I'll be back on his channel on Friday. He's away again this week on Wager Talk there. So everyone, behave yourselves. It's Friday. It's payday. Don't be the pizza man, and just be, have some fun with the bases. Again, I'm been studying a lot here, trying to figure out. It's hard. We talked about it. What did these guys do during the break, the All-Star break? Was it a full 5-6 days that they could tiptoe to Mexico? I didn't see any guys on Cape Cod, so no one came running to see us. So, but anyways, behave yourselves. Now, as you said, top of the 6th, Arizona 5, Cubs nothing. So it was aluminum, not steel here. And I'll just close with this. The kid from Arizona, the Nelson kid, we were fading him for a while and quite successful going to opponents' team totals. We were cashing a lot of tickets and being successful. He's starting to remind me of Fat last year. Fat, however you pronounce it. Yeah. He got hot middle to late second half, and he was great in the playoffs. So keep an eye on this Nelson kid. He's looking pretty good here. So from myself, Jeff Dawson at EC Sports Invest, the one and only Riley Magnuson at Riley_Magnuson, the one. We wish everyone a blessed day. Enjoy yourselves. Cash a few tickets. Don't be the pizza man. And we'll see you soon.